What is happening, everybody? Trey here, joined by my dad, Sean, and today reactions to the classics. We are finishing out the decade of the 2000s as we go to the year 2009 in our top 10 albums by year draft. Be sure to check out our other videos that strike your fancy. We have top 10 albums by year going all the way back to 1965. So already gone through this decade, man. It goes quick, Dad.
It really does. Yeah, we're only going to have one more decade left. If you don't know how this works, today I get first pick, Trey gets second, third, I get fourth and fifth, and so on. We alternate every single year. We need you to pay attention because we need two things from you. We need you to decide who won. Leave that in the comments below. And if you would like, you can leave your top 5 or top 10 albums down there as well. And if you're a patron, then you get to vote on one of these albums for our live listening party that we do every single month on YouTube. If you're not, check out the Patreon link below. A lot of cool stuff for our patrons, and we so appreciate it. All right, Trey, I got first pick, and I'm going to tell you right now, it might be recency bias. There might have been one year in the 90s that's in contention. Mm-hmm. This is the worst year since 1965 that I've listened to. It's the worst year.
It's up there for me. Not, man, and that's interesting because I really think as a whole, for me, the 2000s have been a pretty strong decade.
I agree. I've been very pleasantly surprised.
But yeah, this was, I did not have a lot to draw from on here.
Yeah, and I listened to 37 albums, boys and girls, and most of them the great majority of them couldn't even make my honorable mention. Mm-hmm. My first pick, a group that's appeared for me before, Phoenix. Wolfgang, Amadeus, Phoenix.
This very well might have been my number one if you hadn't taken it.
4th studio album by the French indie pop band. The album received critical acclaim with many publications calling it one of the best albums of 2009. Grammy for Best Alternative Music Album. Has been described as a pop rock, indie pop, synth pop, and new wave. No faves on this really. I was the same way with the other Phoenix album. I mean, there's really good songs on here, but you really just need to throw it on and vibe with the whole thing. But I've been very impressed with Phoenix, a group that I never even knew until we started doing this.
Yeah, I think my favorite's probably 1901, but you're right, Ted, and it's only, 35 minutes?
It's smooth,
very easy record to listen to, and yeah, this is the first album in full I had heard from them, so I'm glad you gave them the top billing here. My number one pick, gonna be one of my favorite bands of all time. We have Brand New in their album Daisy, their 4th record. Has so many records in the 2000s. I don't know how many times we've said this, but it leaked a little early, just 3 weeks this time, unlike The Devil and God back in 2006. They looked on this record to channel their live performances, giving a bit of a more raw, chaotic sound, which you definitely hear on the opener Vices when those initial screams come in and the sound just washes over you. A bit of a harder hitting record than some of their earlier 2000s work right here. Noro is a great haunting closer as well. At the bottom is another highlight, and the only one single off this, and it was at the bottom. So their guitarist Vin Accardi had a bigger role in writing the music and lyrics as well, and maybe that's what contributes to kind of the louder type of sound.
This would have made my list. It would have been my number 3 album. So I didn't know any Brand New. I know it's one of your favorite groups of all time, but going through this journey, all 3 of their albums would have made my list. You took one, I took one, and now you took this one.
Yeah, and my next pick, going with Kid Cudi's A Man on the Moon. His debut record went to number 4. A bit of a concept record, takes a look inspired by Cudi himself. It's a bit of a moody. There's some darker material on here as well. It touches on themes of, kind of depression and, finding yourself. But he wanted to kind of give a bit of that spacey type of production too. The Man on the Moon. Cudi has since released a couple other releases in his Man on the Moon series, which are pretty solid as well, but nothing's going to top this debut for me. And it really does show the creativity that Cudi possessed in the beginning, going with such a wide scoping record as your debut right here. Collaborators such as Kanye, Rat-a-Tat, MGMT, among others, and the album's storyline is narrated by the great Common. So my favorites are going to be Day and Night, probably his most famous track, Make Her Say, and then Soundtrack to My Life. We have an album review to this up on the channel as well, if you will.
Yeah, we did together.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of concept albums, Trey, we got my number 2 pick is The Antlers, Hospice. Never heard of The Antlers. A very heavy record, 3rd studio album. They're an American indie rock band. It tells a story of a relationship between a hospice worker and a female patient suffering from terminal bone cancer. Their ensuing romance and slow downward spiral as a result of the woman's traumas, fears, and disease. The story of her deterioration also serves as a metaphor for an abusive relationship. The frontman of the band Peter Silberman, has been reluctant to divulge explicit details regarding the meaning of the record and the extent to which it is autobiographical, which you write something like this, yes, you could pull it totally out of your head, but it does like lend, especially when you read the lyrics of songs as you're listening to it, like it might have some sort of personal, slant to it. It was the NPR album of the year. On an album like this, I mean, for me, you may have a fave on it. I know you would. I have no faves. You kind of have to listen to all of it. It kind of works together. It's not a song I would pull out and just jam, but I thought as a collective work of art, it was really good.
Yeah, it would have been in contention for me as well. I think you did good putting it on the list.
Well, now I got to go with a band that has not appeared for me yet, and I know they're so critically acclaimed. I don't like them as much as I guess all the rest of you do, but Animal Collective, Meriwether Post Pavilion, their eighth studio album. It's reverb, heavy psychedelic pop sound. Really did have a wide influence on music in the subsequent decade. Highlights My Girl, named the best song of 2009 by Pitchfork and Slant Magazine. It's a great song. I don't know if it's that good, but I don't know a lot of songs from 2009. Maybe it is. Summertime Clothes and Brother Sport.
Yeah, this isn't as good as Strawberry Jam, in my opinion, even though this is kind of, I think, the Animal Collective record that people point to as the one, right? It does have the best album cover of the year, in my opinion. It has that very psychedelic, one of those where you look and your eyes start playing tricks on you. So it fits well. I think that'll be on a lot of people's list right there. And so, kind of keeping in a similar vein, I'm going with Sweettrips' record "You Will Never Know Why," their third album, their first album in 6 years at this point. They're an electronic kind of experimental indie pop, hence a psychedelia in there a little bit there as well. It's a very ethereal, impressively produced record. They developed these songs from practice sessions where they would just play with the guitar a little bit, and one of their members started working on the guitar in the time of their break, so he wouldn't have to manipulate it on the production side of things, so he could actually hit those notes in a lot of time. And they, quote, wanted a raw and bare and simple songs that they would focus for their album, and they wanted to that they noted from their previous record, if they tried to do that again, it's not going to work. We got to expand our sound a little bit. So a really solid release, I think, by them. Highlights for me are going to be Milk and Conservation of 2. And then going to St. Vincent, the great Annie Clark here with her second record, Actor. It's just an all-around great pop record, right? And it just shows the ear that for melody that Annie has. She was influenced around this time by listening to scores of films by Disney and also Woody Allen. So to prevent writer's block, she watched films without the sound and composed music for her favorite scenes. So I thought that was a bit of a...
I know, I did too. I've read that about this.
Unique way. And then she arranged the music in GarageBand, shout out, and she began to write the lyrics and add those melodies in. Favorites for me are The Strangers, The Neighbors, and Actor Out of Work. St. Vincent very well might appear on a future year list because this isn't even her best record. So
right, and I listened to it. It would have been my honorable mention. It was recorded 15 minutes from here in Plano, Texas.
That's right.
So there you go. All right, my fourth pick, Dinosaur Jr. They've been on my list before. Their album Farm, their ninth studio album. It surprised me. Went to 29 in the U.S., which is their highest chart effort ever in the U.S.
Interesting.
Pitchfork 8.5. My highlights are Pieces and Over It highlights. I mean, I love Jay Mass's voice. I think their sound is great. I listened to it after I'd listened to a lot of other albums that weren't very good at all. So it really made it stand out. Maybe I juiced it a little bit because of that. My last pick is Real Estate, their self-titled debut. They're an indie rock band. Pitchfork 8.5, Pop Matter 9. Beachcomber is the highlight. It's got a nice sound to them.
All right, and then I'm finishing it off with Bill Callahan. Sometimes I Wish We Were an Eagle, his second solo record. He has a very unique vocal delivery, and I was just introduced to his music by one of the patrons.
Me too.
That suggested a song battle that he was in, and that vocal delivery might be divisive, but he just has a voice that makes me want to lean in and hear what he has to say. Yep. Right, the longer you listen to it, the more those stories just kind of simmer in your mind. The lyrics are going to bring you through the door, but the arrangements are really solid on this as well, from acoustic numbers to lush string arrangements and electric guitar. Too Many Birds and All Thoughts Are Prey to Some Beast are my personal favorites, and then we probably have the shortest list of honorable mentions we've ever had.
Yeah, we do, and it's not for a lack of trying. I will tell you that Callahan was a flip of the coin for me to be my last choice as well. I got The Church, Untitled 23, not one of the best efforts. Still enough good stuff on there that I would go with it. Same thing with Built to Spill, There Is No Enemy. Probably their weakest record that I've listened to, but still not bad. Roland S. Howard, got Bibio Ambivalence Avenue that was pretty good. And my boys Thrice with Beggars, not nearly as good as their previous two albums, but still, it deserves a mention.
We'll go a little Midwest emo action here with the brave little Abacus Mass Dancers, Converge, little metalcore Axe to Fall, Grizzly Bears, Becca Timist, and then the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, It's Blitz. Gonna finish out my honorable mentions right here, but I'm pretty confident saying this is the weakest year of the decade for me.
Yeah, I totally agree. And next week we'll be doing our decade list. Our top, we each pick 10, so it'll be the top 20 albums of the decade. And Trey, I can tell you unequivocally that there will not be any albums from this year on my list. A little spoiler alert, boys and girls.
Yeah, and of course, we want to hear from you. Maybe you like 2009 more than we do.
Tell us what we missed.
Yeah, let us know your favorite records down below and which of these pile of records you would choose between Sean and I. And until next time, y'all, thanks for watching. Happy listening, and we will see you.